Greetings, brothers and sisters. This is Corey. It's gonna be a Ross Corey. This is gonna be a little how to deactivate the Willie Lynch chip. The death to the Willie Lynch chip speech. A lot of y'all might heard of Willie Lynch, and most of y'all brothers and sisters never heard of him. But that's why we are in the state that we are in today. You gotta deactivate the Willie Lynch chip. I got a letter from my teacher, Ross Adonis, about the Willie Lynch chip, how to deactivate it, how us brothers and sisters can deactivate it and make our heads free from the middle of slavery. The Willie Lynch chips come from the banks of James Rivers of like 1712, I think. It's like one of the oldest methods to control slaves. The boat sailed out of James Rivers, named for the ifs for y'all's king, whose version is in the Bible y'all cherish, King James Bible. Say the Bible is really to enslave us. Uh, while the Romans used cords and woods as crosses for standing human bodies, we down south they are using trees and ropes on occasions. Uh, he said, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulations, and he can make a slave generations for thousands and hundreds of years, maybe. Don't forget, you must pinch the old black male versus the young black male syndrome. Young black male versus the old black male syndrome. You must use the dark skinned slaves versus the light skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all slaves, but it is necessary that your house slaves trust and depend on them. It's crazy. Talking about the house slaves, you can do like these Uncle Toms here today. Just got so much from licking the white man's ass. Okay, I'm gonna give you some how we are going to deactivate the Willie Lynch chip. We must understand the European Anglo-Saxon ideas and methods are ensuring the master-slave relationship. Since I had one guy, I seen he asked me uh, about where I'm from and where I'm, so I just told him it's McMinnville, Babylon, Tennessee. It's a lot of Willie Lynch psychic going on to us Africans here. I'm gonna give you some real slick details how they really enslaved us and made the black people like they are today. It says first he took the black African man and African woman. He used simple principles that they used breaking a horse. So when we first got over here, they try to come. They thinking we were a wild animal, but they're the wild beast. If you can understand, that'd be another subject. Um, He said the Europeans wanted to make sure that the future generation would see the necessities of maintaining African in an unnatural state. Europeans held the view that both horse and Africans are no good to the economy in wild or natural state. Most must be broken. Particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring, but must be crossbred, you feel me? Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or natural African is dangerous even if captured. Hence, both horse and African must be broken. Form of the mentality of the life of another. Keep the body and take the mind. That's what he's saying. Keep the body and take the mind. You must keep your eye open, cause they can really turn against you. That's what he's saying. Cause he's trying to. That's why the black women, they will usually take the black male and beat him half to death in front of his woman. So that makes her lose trust in regardless in a black male. Um, it said if you break the female mother, she will break her offspring in the early years of development. It said don't kill them, but put fear in God in them. Now this right here is talk about breaking the process of an African woman. This is why our black mothers and sisters are like this today. It says she is most important factor for a good economy. She will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Nature and had provided for this type of balance, all in her presence. See, it means by her being left alone and unprotected with her male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to be a frozen dependent state. In this frozen psychology state of independence, she would raise her female and male offspring, reverse roles. For the fear of the young male's life, she will psychology train him to mentally weak and dependent, but physical strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent. You got the African woman out in front and the African man behind and scared. By the killing of the protective male image, a submissive, dependent mind of the African male slave, unless the phenomenon occurs and reshifts the positions of the male and female slaves. So that's why you see a lot of black females in offices working, doing, and the black male still struggling behind. Uh, Here's like warnings of possible interloping negativities. See, the mind has a strong drive to correct and recreate itself over a period of time. We've been slaves for like 400 years, right? But the mind can correct itself. You start to search and break the chains. It says crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse, breeding it as an ass, and you get a dumb backwards ass, long-headed mule. That is not reproductive or reproductive by itself. See, they try to make us crossbreed. They gotta get the strongest males. It said must completely inherit the mother language. So we came over here. They killed a lot of our Africans for praying to Yahweh in a native tongue that they never knew, Amharic, um, Hebrew. It was the white man was trying to figure out it so good. White men so smart and sneaky. They could learn it, but they never could understand it. That's the native tongue that they can't understand because they want to know what these black people are saying and praying. They killing them. So that's how we lost our language. They beat it out of us so much we learn English. That's the easiest way you can really understand it. For example, if you take a slave and teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave, for you can't fool him no longer. And being a fool is one of the basic ingredients in the maintenance of a slavery system. See what I'm saying? Being a fool makes you a slave. Being a fool, that's the system that you in. That's the basic ingredients in the maintenance of slavery system. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops. And he did, the slave restriction will break down for he will relate to the basics on what our crops really meant. So if you have a carefully be setting up a new language for these slaves will soon be in your house talking to you as man to man, and that is death to our economy system. Oh, Willie Lynch, this right here is for example. If you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there incorporate the value as his ways of life completely, the biggest problem you will have out of him is that he would worry about provisions to keep the hog pen clean, or the same hog pen to make a slip and incorporate something in his language, where he whereby he comes to value a house more than he does the hog pen. You got a problem. He will soon be in your house. You get it? But the house niggas running around here today trying to be black, but they black and just brainwashed house niggas. That's why I call house Jews. You know what I mean? In order to deactivate the Willie Lynch chip, I'm gonna give you something for us Africans that we must know. One, to really get this system going out of your head today, maybe too late for some, but I can teach some that I've been taught. One, understand the European program of breaking a African man and a woman into slave making. Admit that we have been programmed. That's two. Europeans knew their treatment would have been a devastating effect on the African family, although they probably didn't know how long the family would survive and exact ultimate resources. Three, we must understand history. First, really, you gotta know your history and accept it. Yeah, you was a slave. You feel me? Many Africans do not realize the nature of this process of self and other destructions. This is taking place because they haven't studied history in their sufficient depths. As long as we are cut off from our true history, we will never fully understand what effect their history had done on us. We must reconnect and reclaim our history. A proven fact that information must be various media sources is usually slanted for the benefit of those in control of the system, those with money, influence, and power. Always remember that we African people will never deactivate the Willie Lynch chip, nor will we find ourselves looking to a religious or physiologist system given to us by our white oppressors. 4. Getting and maintain control of our situations. That's what our children simply lose their way and they become victims of anyone who desires to influence them. Okay, this right here was something. Now this right here is about this professor. He was a professor that really who found this Willie Lynch chip. The letter. He found this letter of Willie Lynch. William Lynch, 1972. Um, he was given almost 300 years ago. See, this shit was written almost 300 years ago. During slavery era, there's nothing more than modern myth. This ain't nothing but a modern myth. He found this letter, and they researched it. Willie Lynch was some guy in Virginia that didn't even have slaves at all. Um, that's how you know America is full of hate. They try to make it come in the 90s. They started passing out newsletters out in the black neighborhoods like it's a Willie Lynch chip that can complete you. It was composed in the late 20th centuries. It says of silence on the Willie Lynch speech. You know what I mean? The Willie Lynch speech is not mentioned by anyone in the 1800s or the 19th century slave masters. There is a large body of written materials from the slavery area. You know what I mean? In 1712, Frederick Douglass, he wrote a book. It was about how he never even mentioned Willie Lynch, how no one ever seen Willie Lynch. Um, It says the Willie Lynch speech was distributed into the black communities in 1993 and 1994. Um, Willie Lynch's speech was popularized by a Million Man March and held in Washington, D.C. on October 16, 1995. He said, "In my bag, I have a foolproof method of controlling black slaves. And I guarantee everyone you install correctly will control the slaves for at least 300 years." So spoke Willie Lynch 283 years ago. Um, it really makes me sad to see a lot of people like this that needs to know about this history that they're really proclaiming. You just really losing your life. Um, you gotta pray to Jah, Rastafari, Yahweh, Yahshua Christos. Um, just look for the Almighty Haile Selassie, Ethiopia. Look towards the east. The wind in the west. You're so confused. Um, I'm just trying to prove this thing a point in this town that I'm living in. To get out, to get these black people together, that they're so lost, and I can see it on them every day. All the stuff that I'm trying to show y'all is going to give y'all a brief history on Ethiopia. It's Ethiopia the main thing in the south. We was Ethiopians. That's who they brought from West Africa. This is going to be the end of this. This is Jah Rastafari, Raskori Tafari, Shalom, greetings.